Welcome back to Cinema Gulp. I'm John.
And I'm Ben. And because there's nothing else to review, we're going to be talking about the entire Austin Powers franchise.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
I wanted to talk about these movies with you, John, because I hadn't seen them in a long time. I remember loving most of the franchise. But I was thinking about it not that long ago and saying to myself, I don't think that these hold up. I think that they're products of their time. And I was right in certain areas, but I was definitely wrong to think that they weren't still gonna make me laugh. Because man, they're still really funny movies.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think these movies would have held up as well as I think they did.
I was surprised, man.
We'll go into details about what we think of each film, and they don't all hold up as well. And I think each of them do have some dated jokes.
Sure.
At least the first two are still really funny in my book.
Mike Myers, from what I've read, they were begging him to the studio's begging him to do like another Wayne's World movie. And he hated those productions, and he's supposedly not the easiest guy in the world to work with. He's very creative control type guy. He decided against a third Wayne's World movie, which is fine with me because I didn't really like those movies. I know I'm in the minority, but I just didn't care. And taking this on and writing these movies, with his buddy Jay Roach, I heard that these were the best productions as far as his behavior and collaborative effort went. So, maybe that's why it shows in how funny the movies are.
Cat in the Hat wasn't a better production for him.
It's weird that the first one was, I wouldn't call it a failure because I don't think it was expected to do much, but they did place it in, well, in the 90s, I don't think May was really a summer release yet, right? The summer in the 90s was like June and July.
Yeah, I feel like Memorial Day. So you had a couple weeks, but it wasn't like that early May slot. Right. It was still kind of a dead zone.
Yeah, so the first one comes out in May. Makes like $10 million opening weekend. It ends up making like 57 and then like 67 worldwide, which is like, okay. But I think people, it was a word of mouth thing. And I think on home video, for you kids, home video is like a tape with
VHS tape.
So people started watching part one on VHS, and then the next thing you know, they just like fast tracked the second one because it came out 2 years later.
Yeah, I mean, they did get that going in typical sequel fashion, like quickly got that one out.
And the second one fucking exploded. And that one made like, it's still the top grosser of the three. Fucking huge compared to the first one.
And I think it would have been huge just built on the popularity of the first film on home video and stuff like that, but it had some slick marketing. Coming out in 1999, it played on the release of the new Star Wars film. Their marketing had a trailer that made you think you were seeing the Star Wars trailer until Dr. Evil spins around in his chair.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was
so
clever.
I think that just got people excited to want to see it as well.
That was, and the slow motion shots of Heather Graham coming out of the ocean probably helped a little bit too. I remember those in marketing were a pretty big thing.
Any shot of Heather Graham where she's not speaking, I'm sure would help the marketing.
It did everything to help boost the fact that it was a part two, and people just bought it and ate it up. And I remember I saw part two with you in the theater, and we were throwing tortillas all over the theater. The big Newport was totally. You said you saw the first one with no one in the theater. The second one was one of those just madhouses where there's it looked like Scream 2, like the world's fakest movie theater, where there's just people running around.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw it back in '97. I saw the first one with only a few people in the theater. I can't even remember if I'd really seen a trailer or whether I knew exactly what I was getting into. I wasn't the biggest Mike Myers fan, so I was kind of not expecting it to be that great. And I feel like the first 10 minutes or so of that movie have some kind of clunky, sloppy, as you called it, direction, acting, and editing. And so I was like, I wasn't sure I was on board with this movie, but by the time you get to the reanimation scene, the humor really kicks in, the character of Austin Powers really starts to come to life.
Yeah.
You get introduced to Dr. Evil after that, and then it's just like, the movie takes off. And I was looking around the theater going, this went from something I wasn't sure I even wanted to sit through, but I don't leave movies. Is everybody in here getting how amazing this is? I can't wait to leave this theater and tell everybody what I just saw, because it was really felt like something unique and original. Yeah. Yes, it's playing into the spoof genre that had already had some great hits before from the 80s, but we had lost the good spoof movies at that point. They were junk in the 90s for the most part. So this was something special.
This almost sounds like an oxymoron, but it's an original. It's a unique spoof. What is this all? What's all happening at the beginning of this? Because it's trying to set up characters. It's trying to set up this world, like this kind of weird, like alternate universe Britain or whatever.
You got a Bob's Big Boy and stuff like that.
And then it really, when it cuts loose and he's coming out naked with this hairy chest and he's taking the world's longest piss, you're like, oh, okay. Now I know what kind of movie this is.
Yeah. I maybe had seen Dr. No many, many years ago, but I watched it recently again. And that scene, him going down the conveyor belt and taking the piss, that actually comes out of Dr. No. Now, they don't take a piss in Dr. No, but they are like, supposedly him and Ursula Andrews are radiated and they're going down this thing being checked to see if they're dangerous radiation levels, and they're naked, and it's shot just the same way of him moving down the conveyor belt. And so I loved how many references to the original James Bond Dr. No really they use in this first Austin Powers movie. The set that they're on at the end of Austin Powers, his underground lair in the desert, is modeled looks just like the 60s set. It's not an exact replica, but it certainly plays homage to the volcano layers. As you said, they're their own thing, but the way that they do play into the James Bond spoof, they do a really good job of being faithful and paying really great respects to the James Bond movies.
I love the unapologetic nature of it.
You know what's remarkable? Is how much England looks in no way like Southern California.
Self-referential jokes of like when Basil looks right at the camera when they're trying to
that
explain
goes for you all as well.
Time travel, and it's like, oh, I've gone cross-eyed, my brain hurts. Just go with it, and that goes for you too as well.
Michael York.
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all too. Yes.
The opening weekend box office for the first one was 16 million. Second one was 33, which is doubled it. The third one was 63, which doubled that almost. But the interesting thing is the third one ended up making a lot less money than the second one did. That's because it happens when the second one is really good. X3 did the exact same thing. X3 made more money than 2 because 2 was so good, everybody went to go see 3, and then the diminishing returns after that opening weekend hit. But
because the quality of the films aren't there.
Yeah, and Austin Powers 3 is not bad. It's just like everybody went to go see it opening weekend, but then it started to go away, whereas 1 and 2 Austin Powers got bigger after opening weekend.
And any sequel, you get more of what you got in the first film or the second film or whatever. That kind of happens in almost all sequels. But I think with a comedy, when they recycle jokes, it really hurts the sequels.
It sure does.
A fresh action scene in a sequel for an action movie or a comic book movie or whatever, you can refresh it to some degree. But people expect the same joke sometimes in a comedy. Yeah. And it just, sure, it might make you laugh when you hear it and you love that they did it again. But on repeat viewings, like we just did, it's like too many times.
And those ones made me roll my eyes. And I'm sure the ones I'm going to mention are probably the same ones you did. When there's the silhouette of the shadow and she's stuffing stuff up his ass, and then in the third one, it's things coming out of, or mini-me coming out of somebody's butt.
Yeah.
That's not a way to get ahead in life, and he's doing that thing.
Not a good time to lose one's head. That's not the way to get ahead in life. It's a shame he wasn't more headstrong.
I think the first film, the first time you watch it, every joke lands, even the jokes where they play on too long. But that's the gag sometimes, like the laughter, like the evil laughter that plays on until it's uncomfortable and they realize, okay, we're done with this. By the time you do it in the third film, you're just like, no, I'm not laughing at it.
Then there's these rare jokes throughout all 3 that are only in that one movie. And my favorite scene, I think, in all 3 movies is probably, what was it, a bulldozer? What is that thing?
The steamroller?
No! Yeah, the steamroller. That's my favorite scene.
Watch out!
What do you think about a movie that just didn't have Dr. Evil in it? And it was just a movie, because they call third Goldmember. Goldmember's
like if Dr. Evil wasn't there, but it was all about Goldmember.
It was just, Goldmember was the perfect opportunity to have Mike Myers play a different villain and leave, and then maybe go back to Dr. Evil.
Well, you turned Dr. Evil good. Bring him to the good side.
Which was just, I hated that. I hated that. But I just feel like you should, I'm not saying have a different villain in every movie, because I think what people almost think is the strongest part of the Austin Powers movies is Dr. Evil. But
I agree.
Yeah, I know, and I agree too, but I wonder if they could have taken a chance, or maybe have Dr. Evil take a lesser role to the Goldmember. Because Goldmember didn't work because it's like, who is this guy? And like, why is he the villain in this movie? Just so you can name it Goldmember?
I don't think Goldmember as a character worked that well.
Well,
but
yeah, because it didn't get to develop.
Yeah, but if they had come up with one that works even close to how Dr. Evil works, then yeah, I think we would have had Austin Powers 4, 5, and 6 already, because they would have been like, okay, we can freshen it up.
Mike Myers wanted Jim Carrey for Dr. Evil. And I can't picture that just because of how great Dr. Evil is already.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I don't want an over the top Dr. Evil though. You know?
Well,
like,
he is.
I just recently saw Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm like, that's probably Jim Carrey's Dr. Evil.
Version of Dr. Evil.
Yeah, which is good, but just different.
Yeah. As many times I've watched these movies, I rarely think about. Yes, I know it's Mike Myers, and I'm laughing because of how funny Mike Myers is and what a great performer he is. But when it's cutting back and forth, I'm not like, oh, I'm still watching the same person on screen. I really do feel like you've got two distinct characters on screen, that there's something about the way he delivers.
Mike Myers is a masterclass at voice changing, dude.
Yeah,
like, I mean, Fat Bastard is so different.
So that is a third character. Those three characters are all so distinct, and like, he's a genius at what he did with all three characters, and that's why I hate Goldmember so much, because
the character.
His portrayal of that character. It's still funny. I still think he's got a funny voice, but he's reaching too much in that one, and it's just like, it's one Mike Myers too many at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think I even like Fat Bastard more than Mini-Me to some degree, but
for sure.
I gotta say, Mini-Me truly is like the indelible mark of genius of the second film. Like, that is the character introduced. Fat Bastard is as well.
It became the biggest thing.
But it's like it's the thing. Just a few days ago, somebody made a reference at the office of like, hey, where's my Mini-Me, or something like that. And I'm like, Part 1 was on my best picture list in 1997.
Hey, why not? It's hard to, when you say these things out loud, you're like, oh, it's well written. It's like, but it is. Obviously, when Elizabeth Hurley is going, oh no, he's gone away. Like, and that's such a horrible delivery and such a stupid line, but it's done that way on purpose.
Oh no, he's gone away.
The laziness is supposed to be that way. Like, that's why it's smart. Like, you can almost feel it sometimes. You're like, oh, it's like Mike Myers doesn't care about these action scenes, so they're so sloppy and stupid. No, that's Austin Powers' carelessness.
Exactly.
Because he's not going to die, and he knows it. Yeah.
The first film does have a lower budget. You know, it didn't have
much
the success,
lower budget, yeah.
And so that's apparent, and you feel that in some moments that they had budget constraints.
Yeah.
Each Bond film has it's not a dance number, but it's a song that's written for the movie, and then you have the silhouettes dancing and stuff like that. I felt like that was his version of like, hey, they've got this intro for Bond movies. Every Bond movie starts with a pre-credit action scene, and then the song with the silhouettes dancing and stuff. And so it does feel like they have that formula they're borrowing from Bond of like the pre-credit scene and then their version of their credit scene. I think the first one's the best.
Or he's just running through the city.
I think it's just
the groupies are chasing
just the way
him.
his moves are.
Well, no, the other two, they're overblown.
Yeah.
When it comes to the dance number.
And pretty much every side character that's a main character, like whether it's Seth Green or number 2, what's his name?
Robert Wagner.
Frau Bisna or whatever. Scott! She's so fucking awesome. All of those side characters are just classic and memorable in their own right. When you're going up against Austin and Dr. Evil, who are just memorable to the end of time, these other people really do a great job. Scott, he's such a great character.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I think Scott secretly has the best character development and the best arc from 1, 2 to 3. Where the first one, obviously, he's the kid, he's trying to get to know his dad, but he's scared of him. The second one, he's neglected when Mini-Me, and the whole time Scott's just all sad and bummed because Mini-Me. And then the third one, he's now blossoming real evil.
As much as I love the first film, it's very nonsensical at times. It's just bouncing back and forth between scenes with Dr. Evil and Austin.
Yeah, and just
the Dr.
talking.
Evil scenes are typically stronger, but Austin is still very funny, so you're enjoying everything that you get there, but you're always just loving it when you get back to Dr. Evil and his lair and everything going on there, or whether you're going to group therapy. That's probably my favorite scene of the first movie, maybe.
With Carrie Fisher.
Maybe I'd be a vet.
An evil vet?
No. Maybe like work in a petting zoo.
An evil petting zoo?
You always do that!
No, but nothing's ever happening in any of these movies.
No.
Like, nothing's driving the play. I think you're right. They're just cutting back and forth, but no one's doing anything.
Yeah,
It's just
not really leading
it's just
anywhere.
It's like sketch comedy. My favorite line in the first one, there's nothing more pathetic than an aging hipster. It's that scene where they finally see each other for the first time since the opening scene, and they're having that dialogue exchange, and I love it that they're making us think that it's going to be like these two witty characters exchanging ideologies, clashing. He's like, these are different times, baby. Things are just different.
Right now we've got freedom and responsibility. It's a very groovy time.
There's nothing more pathetic than an aging hipster.
I don't remember a time where only the first one was out and I was like quoting those lines. I don't think it was till the second one where I was like into Austin Powers. Things like the fembots. I think about a lot of things that I don't see, Me Too era movies happen. I don't see things happening. Like when you watch, the idea of the fembot sounds funny, but when you watch it, you're like, wow. Like I don't mean the characters themselves or the idea that's written, but I could just see like SJW is going like, you can't hire actors to play brainless robots with boob guns. Why? That's one of the things that makes this movie so fun, though.
It's Mike Myers.
Yeah,
It's
and
his line delivery,
he's
his
so
facial
great.
expressions.
Yeah,
it's
and
his
I
performance.
say that Dr. Evil's the strongest part, but man, Austin Powers is a very close right behind him because he is so full of expression.
Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Against some chick who sucks at acting in every single movie.
I think that's the point.
But I think maybe he would feel like on par exactly with Dr. Evil. But he's hampered with some of his scenes are just not as funny. Like Dr. Evil's scenes have Frau and Scott and number 2 in there.
Well, yeah,
Austin's scenes have this.
Well, because
riff
Dr. Evil is his situation is he's sitting in a boardroom with his co-villains and they're just having banter. Austin Powers is on the quote-unquote adventure portion.
Number two goes to the bathroom.
the little boys' room.
Goes to the little boys' room. But where does he go in there?
Yeah.
The whole scene takes place with the strangling.
Well, no,
and
yeah, I
Tom
know, 'cause
Arnold,
no
but he's not
scenes
even
go-
in
yeah,
there.
no
Austin
scenes-
goes in there to take a shit.
And how does the wall open up and I mean, for me Lucky
That's some of
Charms
the-
guy, like
That's some of that nonsensical stuff where it's just like, what? Why is this even happening?
well, and that's the thing though, when you're watching that scene, the way the camera frames the shot, that's where you're like, okay, these guys clearly know this is ridiculous. There's no way. How do you know he'd pick that bathroom stall? It doesn't matter because this is just how they were doing it back then. It's like, how do you know like everything about how to
apply
pull that
logic.
Yeah. But
that goes for you too out there.
Yeah, see that, and the movie's constantly saying that to
Yeah.
you, which is why I respect it.
Some great dialogue in that first
Oh, and that's
movie. I mean, all the movies.
and that's the soup Nazi, the card dealer. I suggest you hit, sir. That's the soup Nazi.
I didn't even think of that, but you're right. That is.
The subtitle of this movie, because I guess the first one technically had a subtitle, International Man of
International
Mystery.
Man of Mystery.
When I
love
remember
that.
seeing the posters, I always thought that was the tagline and not the subtitle. Where it's just the tag of the movie. But it was the subtitle, and it went on to be the subtitle. The second one was a subtitle that most countries banned and had to change. Because of the use of what it kind of refers to. Let's see if I can pronounce it. Spinonen som spermet meg. And that actually is supposed to be sort of the cleaner version, but when you translate it, it's the spy who ejaculated on me. I love the second one. It's so much fun. I don't know if it's as funny as the first one after rewatching them. I remember loving the second one and thinking it was the best made one for some reason because it cut out some of that stuff you said at the beginning.
I think I agree with that
Yeah.
it still is the best made one.
Yeah.
You see the budget go up, it's obvious
Yeah.
that they've got more money.
It's
that
glossier
it's
for
glossier.
sure. There's bigger outside exterior stunts and things. Yeah.
The sets get all that much bigger and
Yeah.
everything.
And you got to pay my man Vern Troyer
Vern
all
Troyer
that cheddar.
makes the big bucks. Fat bastard, he eats a lot. So
That thing
Heather
was-
Graham was probably more expensive
Dude,
than
that was 99. That's the best fat suit I've ever fucking seen. That is so good. And he was even kind of meant to be almost exaggerated, but when he's moving around, especially when he's sleeping in bed with Heather Graham, that thing is so good.
Well,
so the second one introduces time travel into the story.
Second one?
Yeah, and what is
Time travel.
Time machine.
But I love that was introduced in the second one to make the movie different. You have the same villain, but you have different, same kind of fucking world-ending plot, but time travel because this, and this. I'm like, okay, it's a different story at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's the science fiction element in the first one. It's not true time travel, but there's this span of years
he was
because of
frozen
and stuff. So they have a different way to kind of play out that same thing where we're fish out of water in a time or whatever that you're not supposed to be in.
Right. I had heard that the second one originally was conceived to just be a prequel movie where it's just him back in the 60s. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. You could just tell different Austin Powers. They could have just had him back in the 60s at the beginning and no one would have cared anyway, because these movies don't have to have a consistent flow.
No.
But it's like, just get wackier and just have him go back in time. And I think that was actually a better idea than just another story. And then that way you could I love that they just put Elizabeth Hurley back in there, and that makes no sense that she's a fembot, none, because she's the daughter of his best friend, who's never mentioned again in any of the sequels, by the way. Mimi Rogers, she's never, Mrs. Kensington, she's never mentioned once. Supposed to be like his best friend in the world.
Yeah.
How did I miss those, baby?
He doesn't even give a fuck when when Vanessa turns out to be a fembot, she just blows up. He's just like, I'm single again.
That means I'm single again. Oh, behave!
Even from the first film, it's, I think, at the end when they're kind of on their honeymoon or something and they're blocking things.
With the melons.
Yeah, it just, I think those jokes were funny the first time I watched them, but they kind of never worked.
I like when the balloon is blowing up and then when she says something non-sexual, he like cringes and the balloon shoots off. I guess he had said like just sitting at home as a kid and the stuff that his dad would watch on TV was like British spy shows and like British humor. The second one you have Heather Graham, equally as bad at line delivery, maybe worse, but again I think there's a certain amount of intent on that stuff. I'm not saying Heather Graham's the best actress, but I know she can deliver lines better than she does in the movie.
She takes her job serious. She goes after Fat Bastard and does her job.
Oh, yeah.
Give it up!
I think I like Kensington the best out of the three.
Maybe. Possibly one of the funniest, at least Austin Power gags in the second one. And they only used it once in the series, I believe, is when he keeps using that woman as a human shield and she doesn't die.
Yeah.
I love that, because then when he uses her to hit the ground, he's just like, why won't you die?
Slowly moves her in front of him. Yeah.
And it's like such a bad rear projection when he's, but it's great. There's literally scenes where Dr. Evil's in the volcano lair and there's nothing happening. Like Austin Powers like gets on the sand and builds a tent, but they just keep cutting back to Dr. Evil and he's just singing a different song.
What if God was one of us?
And then it cuts back to Austin Powers for 2 minutes, and then it goes back and they're singing just the two of it. It's like there's nothing happening in the movie.
From the moment I heard Frau say I had a clone, I knew that I'd be safe because I'd never be alone.
The expansion of Scott's character and the introduction that Frau is actually his mother.
Yeah.
And
funny scene.
Having rewatched the three films, they actually, I don't think they knew that was going to happen, but they do slightly set it up when there's a moment where something happens where Dr. Evil basically was going to kill Scott by pushing the button and flipping his chair over, and she slaps it and like gives him a wink. Yeah. And it's like, I'm protecting you, I'm looking out for you. Yeah. That totally worked in the context of that film because she had kind of been raising him.
That was her pet, that was a project of her. Yeah.
But then when they established that she's actually his mother, and even I forget if it's in the second or the third film where they meet each other, I guess second film where they meet each other on Springer at the end of the film, and they really
That's the end of the second one.
Yeah, they really do even like look alike similar in that scene. Yeah. So the second film was able to build on little things from the first film that they maybe didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, one of the funniest scenes in the second one is the first time you see Dr. Evil on the Springer show. I just love him. He's like, oh, calm down. He's like, you motherfucker!
Bring it on, you skanky!
All right, come on. No one talks to my son like that. It's okay, Scott. You motherfucker!
One other character we haven't mentioned that shows up in the second one that does a great job, Rob Lowe, playing the young version of number 2.
And another on a streak of just awesome impressions that he does. Yeah. Count to 10 and for the rocket. And he's like, yeah, I love it. It's just this funny, dumb, obvious movie prop that's just got one button. Like you just press this thing with a little bunny ear antenna and it launches a giant rocket. It's so great.
When they're like start at 30 though,
yeah,
and
start
then
at
they're
30,
waiting,
and he's
like,
just say go.
Just
Yeah.
go.
And I love it, like all that for Mini-Me and him to shoot up in the rocket to the moon base, and then when you see the moon base, everyone else is already there.
I was like, what was the point of them flying up?
But again, it's like when you set the precedent where it's like everything can appear lazy because that's the point, then you can get away with like, because I'm sure there was like a script supervisor going like, so how'd everybody else get on there?
The rule of a spoof film is they don't have to follow rules.
For sure,
So
for sure. Stuff
by
like that.
establishing itself as truly a spoof, it can break those
Yeah,
rules.
I mean, you'd be asking questions all fucking day, like when he's like, how come we couldn't get the sharks with laser beams? And then say, what did they get instead? Like sea bass.
Ill-tempered sea bass.
Yeah, and it's like, who went and got those?
I guess one thing that could slightly diminish Fat Bastard is that you did get Myers playing the Scottish accent role.
His dad, yeah.
Well, through Shrek, really. Like he kind of plays it up with the Shrek role.
Well, he technically done the Scottish
with his dad.
With his dad and Axe Murder Killer, whatever.
Kid, move!
Go cry yourself to sleep on your enormous pillow.
Towards the end, when he's got the space helmet and the little speaker box, and he keeps having to hit it to say something.
Yeah. And then it goes off real loud.
Yeah. Or like he gets shot and it's not. He's like, ow, without it on. Then he has to turn it on. Ow.
I think the first one and the second one use the slow pitched voice where no. Watch out! Watch out! Those little things make me laugh for some reason. From 2000 to 2000, well, I guess still now, but definitely in the early half of the aughts, Beyonce was fucking huge. Like her videos were everywhere. She was like 19 when she got cast, and she was 20 during filming.
And that blew my mind.
Well, there's no chemistry at all. Like I know you had said like, you know, Kensington and Felicity are like cardboard
There's still
cutout.
a little bit of
There's chemistry there in both of those
Yes.
women with Austin Powers. 100% it's there. There's nothing between Beyonce and Mike Myers. I want to say, I don't know how old he is, but I want to say he's twice her age in that movie, or close to it.
Probably.
She was so protected at that time as the star. I'm surprised, even though Austin Powers is a huge franchise, I'm surprised they got her. Absolutely terrible in the movie, by the way. Let's get that out of the way right away. She's horrible.
See, I feel like she's just as bad as the rest.
I don't think so.
I don't put her any worse.
I think that she's not intentionally being bad, though. I think they give her next to no lines because she can't deliver them, and then the lines she has, at least I knew what was supposed to be emoted from the other two girls. Like, I don't know what.
Yeah,
I don't think
right.
Beyonce knew how to deliver a line that's supposed to be funny or sassy or nervous. Like it was all just the same delivery.
The best moment of her emoting is when Nathan Lane is playing.
Yeah.
When Nathan Lane is
I wish that
expressing
gag
everything.
lasted the whole movie where she only talks to her. This is my least favorite of the three movies. And it's
Of
pretty
everybody.
It's a pretty
Everybody's
far down. And the ironic thing is this is Mike Myers' favorite.
He thinks it's his favorite.
He has said it many times. He thinks it's the
He
best.
just
of the
loves
three.
himself.
You're confused and awkward feeling. Like, is she a love interest? They say that he dated her 8 years before the first movie took place, but when they meet up with each other,
So when
she's just
she
like a
was
plant.
12?
Yeah, no. But that's the thing. In the article I read all this in, that was the weird thing. They're like, why would they write that in the script?
Yeah.
Especially if people know how young she is.
Yeah.
Apparently she's not supposed to be that young, or Austin Powers is just...
Well, she didn't come across that young. I think maybe like 26
mid 20s or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, he couldn't really touch her, and like, this isn't like something that's been officially stated that like there was a clause in the contract about the one distant peck on the kiss peck on the mouth, but I think she kisses him on the cheek once, and it's very awkward where he's like, like this, and that's not the Austin Powers I know. I don't know why she's on the adventure. He just went there to get a piece of information from her, but then she's like just tags along.
That's
like,
true. She just comes back.
She just comes back.
Is A Hard Knock's Life a Jay-Z song?
Yes. Well, it's originally from Annie the musical.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a Jay-Z
again,
song.
This isn't my bag, baby. That is actually the only musical number, a movie chocked with way too many. The only musical number that I still kind of find funny is the Hard Knocks Life one.
I don't know how to be. No crib on MTV. God only knows. Got my mini-me in the GP. See how it goes. Evil's all that I see.
Austin capturing Dr. Evil at the beginning of the movie, and then going, oh, wow, finally. Okay, so this means we're moving on. There's a new villain. Maybe he'll use Dr. Evil as a Hannibal Lecter type throughout the movie. Cool, I'm down for that.
Well, and they had the one scene.
They had the one, that's what I'm saying. They had the one scene, and he's like, go, Mr. Powers, fly, fly. And you're like, cool. They're moving on from Dr. Evil in this movie. This is bizarre. I'm not saying I wanted to not see Dr. Evil, but I wanted something different.
Yeah.
And
Third
then
time.
they introduced this new villain on roller skates, and somehow he can move his legs up to the top for some reason. That's never explained. I guess it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
He has a gold
that's
penis.
Spoof humor.
He has a gold penis, and he has some kind of world-ending plot. But then,
and he likes to eat his own scabs.
Oh,
That's
man.
the element that pushed it too far for me.
Yeah. That's
I
the
think,
fat bastard stuff that doesn't work with that. Yeah.
And he, all of those characters have to have something that grosses you out.
That's the grossest thing of all.
You can tell it's Mike Myers still too much, whereas the other ones he does disappear to some degree within the characters. Not visually, you can still always kind of see Mike Myers, but the way he plays the character and the line deliveries and the mannerisms and the looks on his face and everything works so well across the other three characters. I still think Goldmember does have some funny line delivery at times. I like his laugh,
I
his
agree.
little under the breath laugh.
Yeah, I agree. There's funny stuff.
Like a tiger, like that's still a funny line at times, but overall it was, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. And there's like a spoof at the beginning where you see a trailer for a Austin Powers movie called Austin Pussy, and it is cast by Tom Cruise playing Austin Powers,
Gwyneth Paltrow, Dixie Normus,
Kevin Spacey as Dr. Evil, Kevin Spacey, Tom Cruise, and Gwyneth Paltrow. They are all like Hollywood whack jobs now.
The biggest eruption of laughter in the theater I was in for the entire movie of Goldmember was when Danny DeVito says, "Hey assholes, I'm Mini-Me," and he's flipping it. That was the biggest eruption of laughter that whole movie got.
But I do like the Nathan Lane one. That one is actually clever and funny, and again, he's a pretty funny comedic performer when he wants to be. And so it comes, he's able to really sell that moment.
But that's one of those cameos that I love because half the theater probably didn't know who that was.
Yeah. Well, like Birdcage was a big hit many years before.
It was, but you got to imagine there's people, oh my God, it's Britney Spears. And those are what I call worthless, useless cameos, where it's like the Nathan Lane one, he was actually playing a character, servicing the plot, and I agree with you. I love everything about the way he's. And you're right, that's the best Beyonce scene because she's got her back to the camera. For all we know, they just manipulated somebody else's voice for that because that's got the most emotion that she says in the whole movie. It's copy and pasting all the other jokes that worked, and all the stuff they're trying to do new. They're reaching so hard, like you said, like Goldmember is such a reach for something.
Well, and then all the stuff that deals with their past. Michael Caine is in this movie. I mean, the great actor Michael Caine shows up to play Austin Powers' father named Nigel Powers.
On paper.
And that to me was just the retconning of that storyline where Austin has these daddy issues and was worried about whether he shows up to the graduations and stuff like that. It's just like, that is not Austin Powers at all.
No. He's not the same guy in the third one at all.
Yeah, he's not the same guy at all.
Yeah. Aside from the fuck me and fuck you, where he looks at his little tablet and says bucket list, like threesome with 2 Asian twins. Aside from that 1 second, he's never the Austin Powers from the other movies. Like I said, no love interest in the movie.
There are some pretty funny things on that list. I actually had to pause it.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
It's like capture Dr. Evil in the first act, which he had just done.
Why not just have it the Last Crusade of the Austin Powers franchise, the Indiana Jones Last Crusade, where he goes on an adventure with his dad. He can still bang other chicks here and there. I mean, look at the first one. One of the best scenes in the first one, he goes into the hot tub with a lot of vagina, and that scene's hilarious. That scene's great, And he's still banging other people. He didn't have to have a love interest if you're not even going to have him be a love interest. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be a female lead.
I mean, to be honest, if they wanted to go that route, they could have maybe had a love interest that Austin and
becomes the bad person.
Well, a love it much similar to the Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
The father and the son are both kind of vying for the same woman.
Yes.
I just don't even get anything that happens with Michael Caine's character in the movie. It's
because
so
nothing
forced and
happens
terrible.
with it.
Yeah,
but he's doing his best. He's doing a great job. As like I believe that guy would be his dad. Like he's got just as a carefree. He doesn't give a fuck about anything. You know, he's got that same thing going on.
Dr. Evil being Austin's long lost brother, and they write in some
unbelievably horrible. And all the bad guys, all the villains who have been through all three of these movies, just killing people all the time and threatening to kill the whole world, they all just turn good. And they're all at the movie premiere. No one's in trouble with the law. I don't like 3. It's got moments, but it's just not. It's got that part 3 curse, man. Like and it's weird that Mike Myers thinks it's the best. And I don't think it's like reviled as much as we think it is. I've never been a fan of it. When I first saw it, I was very disappointed.
Yeah, I feel like I laughed, but I
laughed.
There was a lot that I groaned at, and you're laughing at recycled jokes. So the second time you see him,
recycled jokes, Mike Myers having to kind of tiptoe around Beyonce to not even like hint that he's slapping her ass, or like it's all that stuff is so gone that you're kind of scratching your head in the movie. Like,
yeah, I mean, I knew while watching it that it's the worst of the 3, and that it would always be that way. That wasn't going to change for me. And
there's just only so much you can do. You know, like when they're like, okay, so now Mini-Me turns good. He becomes a good guy. You're like, well, I guess that's really all you can do. 3 was not the worst movie ever made, but it was the worst of the 3, and you would have really had to bring in something new for 4, and I think Mike Myers was just on a trajectory of copy and paste.
Yeah.
So it's almost a good thing there wasn't.
Well, he was making Shrek movies, really.
Well, yeah, that's right. That was paying.
He saw that
Jesus
more
Christ,
money,
he's a billionaire after those movies.
The thing that works in the 3rd film is still that Mike Myers is a very talented comedic performer.
Yes.
The other supporting characters that we've seen all throughout the series that are able to come back. You got the Seth Green and whoever, Frau Farbissina.
Mindy Sterling.
Sterling, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Robert Wagner coming back. All of those people returning still, come back with some humor. So you've got the talented people there to keep it funny when it can be, but the recycling of the jokes, and really what I think hurts the movie the most for me is all the forced past storyline.
Yeah.
The whole segment where they show Austin at school, where it ruins that all these people have known each other since the time they were schoolboys.
Makes no sense.
Number 2, Dr. Evil, Basil, Austin.
It deflates.
I want to say there's even another character.
It deflates every story beat from the other 2 movies.
Yeah.
That Dr. Evil was going to be an international man of mystery. What? So that's the Austin Powers franchise.
Yeah.
How would you put them in order? Clearly, we know where 3 is. That's at the bottom. That's number 3.
I think I think it would be in the order that they were released.
I gotta say so too. I think it's just because I laughed so much still in the first one. I hadn't seen, and maybe it's unfair to the second one because I watched the second one the next night and I got reindoctrinated into Austin Powers all over again. The first one made me realize I missed this comedy and I was laughing really hard. Second one, I knew what to expect again, so I went into it. But there's so much to enjoy about the second one too.
I mean, you could say that maybe the second one has elements that are obviously it's a more polished film, so you kind of look at it like, well, is it a better film because it just looks a little better and has some more bigger set pieces and things like that, and maybe
and it has Elvis Costello in it.
Yeah, and maybe some. I kind of think that one's story moves along at a better pace.
It does. He said things like Austin Powers came, like I said, from all those British TV shows and stuff. So all of that stuff is influenced the same way we are while watching television and watching other people do things that we like,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So he's a super creative dude, man. I mean, if I ever want to go back and revisit this, I wouldn't watch the 3rd one. I like it just to, I like 1 and 2. We watched all 3 so we could do this and talk about them, but I just there's not enough funny in there to have me like watch that one again. I don't know. It was kind of fun to go back and revisit them, and just something that just popped into our heads. Let's talk about Austin Powers movies. Why not? And we did.
Here we go.
And now we're done. And no, you can't have that time of your life back.
Please keep watching and look for upcoming videos. Check out Film and Vinyl. That's Ben's new show. He's put out 3 already, and it's freaking awesome. I hope to get onto an episode pretty soon. So keep watching. Thanks a lot, and
We drink your cinema.
From the moment I heard Frau say I had a clone, I knew that I'd be safe because I'd never be alone. An evil doctor shouldn't speak aloud about his feelings. My hurt and my pain don't make me too appealing. I'd hope Scott would look up to me, run the business of the family.